Well, hi there, everybody. It's your old modeling buddy Brian here with another episode of Boss Builds. It's been a while since we last met, and if you remember, I was building the 1/9 scale Dragon Marvel Avengers Hulk figure, which is a very, very cool figure. This is the unpainted one, obviously, because I'm painting it and building it. And it's been, what, it's been 3 months, 2.5 months, something like that. Anyway, you know, when you have a 3-year-old in the house, he's 3 now, by the way, things get busy and it's just so hard to sit down and get some modeling time in. But I did this time anyway. As you saw last time, I had used the airbrush, this airbrush right here, to paint in the deep spots on the musculature, outline the musculature with a black paint. And I finally got to sit down last night and put on the green base coat. So without further ado, let me pull up the green base coated Hulk. There he is right here. I'll get out of the way so you guys can see this. And as you remember last time, I went in all the nooks and crannies and crevices of his massive musculature and went in with a flat black just over the green vinyl. I didn't put down any primer or anything like that because the paint sticks fine to it, and I wanted to start contrast. So went in with the flat black all around the musculature there, and what I did last night is I used the green base coat that I was going to use, lightened up with a little bit of white, and just went over the whole thing to get the green base coat down. And I didn't just spray it, I'll actually hold it here. I didn't actually just broadly spray over the whole thing. I kind of kept it to the individual muscle groups so as to not concentrate too much paint into those nooks and crannies, because obviously I want the black to still show through as part of the pre-shading process there. But I did go back over and do some broader coverages like that, and I think the effect actually looks pretty good at this stage. And if you're like me, a lot of the times when I'm building a model, I'll get to a point and I'm like, man, this looks good. Do I really want to do anything else? Even though this is like barely into it, but I think it looks pretty good right now. So I'm contemplating what my next step should be. I want to use some different colors, of course, to get more depth to the figure and get a little dust off of them there. And obviously the face isn't painted at all yet. I got the base color on there, but I'll have to go in with a detail brush, pick out the eyebrows and do the hair, of course. The eyes, I'll use a white for that, white for the teeth, off ivory white, to paint the details on the face. But I'm pretty happy with the way the pre-shading has worked so far. But yeah, coming up from now, I'll probably try some dry brushing with the lighter shades of green just to highlight the muscles more, and then after that I'll probably do a wash with a dark green just to further accentuate all the nooks and crannies and stuff there. And then when I'm done with that, I'll do some weathering so it looks like he's been, stomping around in the rubble of New York. So pretty dusty, dry, dusty type weathering, just like I would do on a tank in a similar circumstance. Now, one thing I'll point out on here, and if you've been following along, you know we've been talking about it, is this unfortunate seam on the back of the neck. Excuse me. I thought I had kind of taken care of it when I had it all primed in black, but having done it in green right now, it's still pretty evident there. But I'm so far in the game right now, I'm not going to go back and try to fix it. If you were building this for a show or something like that, or you're just the kind of person that really has to have it perfect, then I would recommend, of course, going in and trying filling it some more. That putty I used actually had worked pretty good, but it seems to have not actually filled it in. So it's a pretty funky gap there. But I think, as I mentioned last time, the technique I'm going to use to fix this is I'm just going to display it on my shelf facing outward, and you'll never see the back of the neck there. So no problem for me. But for those of you who can't live with a seam like that, then yeah, you're probably going to have to do a little more work on that neck seam there. Now from the front he's fine, obviously, so that's the thing I'm going to. But if you're going to display him in like a 360 degree in the round type display, or if you're doing them for contests or anything like that, you're going to have to spend a little more time on that seam. So yeah, so here's where I am at now so far with this guy, and let's compare him to, this body is Dragon's pre-painted. Let me move my hands out of the way so you can see. And so far, I'm liking my version better. No sour grapes there, obviously. Because no, I think the color I've got more closely matches so far. I'm still not done with it. What we see on the box art here, and of course what we see in the movie, which is the look I'm going for. I always thought this one was a little too bright colored, and obviously it's not weathered. And this version, although it's got some the musculature is pre-shaded. It looks like there's really no washing or anything, so the fingers are don't really look separated and things like that. So I'm going to do that later with mine, of course. But I think so far I'm pretty pleased with the color I've got and with the pre-shading, and I think it so far it is comparing favorably to the pre-painted one, and at half the price, and 1,000 times more the fun because I'm doing it myself. But yeah, no head Hulk right there. So yeah, so far, so you be the judge. Who's winning so far? Not that it's a competition, of course, but so far I think my guy's looking pretty good. And we'll see what it looks like when I'm done. So, just to talk a little bit more about the color, and I'll just keep Hulk right here so you guys can keep looking at him while I'm talking. This is the color I used. It's a Mr. Hobby Aqueous color, which unfortunately we can't sell at HLJ because they can't ship them overseas because apparently water-based paints are just so dangerous for aircraft, but that's another story. This is the Interior Green H58 is what I decided to use. Again, I thought it was a little dark out of the bottle, so I mixed it up with just a hint of the same brand, Gonzisangyo's Mr. Hobby's H11 Flat White, and I think it got a good tone there. And now this is, I think we mentioned before, it's a semi-gloss color, and I really like working with flat paints for weathering purposes and things like that. So as I mentioned before, I added a bit of the flat base to it, and as you can see, very, very nice flat finish. So this will be good. It'll really take weathering techniques fine. And also when I'm getting around to painting the eyes and teeth, for me anyway, it's easier to paint on top of flat things like that. So the flat base mixed in with the paints really makes them very, very flat, as you can see here. As you know, my trusty Tamiya HG trigger airbrush is what I always use. It came through fine this time again. I didn't shoot any video of me painting it this time because it pretty much is exactly the same as it would have looked like the last time I used the airbrush. And it looked a little something like this. Get it all in there as best I can. Okay, so yeah, so there's really no point in shooting any more of that because it's just, you know, hi, Brian's painting. Okay. But yeah, highly recommend this airbrush. It's served me well for nigh on 12 years now. I got this a long time ago. 14 years. 1999. Yeah, and it's already 2013. So can't say enough good things about this airbrush that's lasted this long, and it still keeps on working. And I don't see the need to buy another one because it does everything I need. So anyway, airbrush, Hulk. What do I have to do next on the guy? Well, as I mentioned a minute ago, got to do the detail painting, I think, next on the face there and the hair. And then decide where I want to go next with the body. As I mentioned, I'll probably do some dry brushing with even lighter shades of this green, and then I'll probably use this again, add some black to it to do a dark greenish wash to catch more of the details, particularly on the face, since I really didn't do much pre-shading there. Just get all that to pop. Mix some different shades of it to get some different tones for the lips around there, around the eyes, usually a little bit darker. Of course, the eyebrows and the hair. And then fingernails and toenails too, make those pop out a little bit. Oh, and speaking of the feet, I haven't shown you the feet yet. Let me put this big guy down. Bring up those little Hulk tootsies. Dun, 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 dun. Here they are. I think they're looking pretty good too. You know, you get those. Whoa, that can happen to the best of us. So hang on. Let me put that back in there. Tape. It's a wonderful thing. So yeah. I think these are turning out good. Those nice, the calf muscles on the back, the definition's looking pretty good. These sinewy shins on there, and of course all the sinewy toes and tendons and whatnot on the foot are popping up pretty good. So yeah, just to get a little color differentiation in the nails there, and the hands here, and then the feet, just make it look a little more realistic. And also doing washes will make a little more realistic separation between the fingers and the toes, particularly in these big fists. Even though they're clenched tightly, with a little more washing in there, it'll make them pop out and look a little more realistic, like that. So this is where I'm at with the Hulk right now. I'll continue on with those steps I just mentioned. The final steps being weathering him up so he looks all, you know, dusty and scratched up by various pieces of building and aliens and whatnot. So I'm looking forward to getting this thing finished and show it to you guys. And we've got the base here. I'll show you the base for a minute. As we talked about before, it's just a plain base. The pre-painted one has a nice textured crushed city base, but this one is just plain and flat. I'll probably use this one just to get the thing done, but maybe in the later episodes, boss builds, I'll try to put the Hulk in a more realistic Hulk smashed setting. So, from Brian and Hulk, hope you enjoyed this show, and we'll see you next time, hopefully with a lot more progress. So, see you again soon.